It will have
the strongest and one of the
it is
powerful
gorgeous.
antidotes to pain.
Everything passes.
If you can do it because you have so much love for
It
yourself,
usually
do
starts
it.
with something that's beautiful.
Hi, I'm Boy Abunda, and I'd like to speak with you with words spoken mula sa puso. And right now, I'd like to talk to you about silence. Maraming mga tao ang hindi makapaniwala that I enjoy silence, that I can actually be silent for long periods of time. I can. But that is not to say that I don't enjoy talking, because talking is my business. I enjoy both. But I wanted to talk about silence right now because over 50 years ago, the great Martin Luther King said that for good people, silence is not an option. Context was racial discrimination, human rights, equality. It was the civil rights movement. Remember the Jim Crow laws? Equal but separate. Ito yung sumasakay kayo sa isang bus pero magkahiwalay ang blacks at ang mga puti. These were the times when black pizza delivery boys could not deliver through the front door. They had to go through the back door. Civil rights movement persisted, persevered until it won up to a certain point. Of course, the struggle for equality continues, as we all know, around the world, because we know what is happening in the United States of America. But big achievements have been done by the civil rights movement. Barack Obama, who is black, became the first black president of the United States of America. Corporations and companies are being led now by black leaders, and so on and so forth. So if the context is racial discrimination, fight for human dignity and human rights and equality, I totally agree with the great Martin Luther King that silence is not an option. If the context is persecution and prosecution of the LGBT people around the globe, silence is not an option. There are still countries in the world that criminalize the LGBT people. You're a criminal simply because you're gay. Our struggle continues. We are not asking for special rights. We're just demanding for equal rights because that is our birthright. LGBT rights, according to Hillary Clinton, are human rights. So if the context is LGBT rights, silence is not an option. If a mother is being disrespected in my presence, this is something very personal. Silence is not an option. I remember I was in an event and there was this young mother who was excited to be with me in the same room, in the same event, and she wanted a photo. She was with her 7-8-year-old kid who was literally screaming at her. I remember I went to the girl and I said, "You don't scream at your mother. You respect and you love your mother." If that is the context, then silence is not an option. I also remember a news story some years ago where a mother who was afflicted with Alzheimer's, with dementia, was locked up in a cage. That was disturbing. In that context, silence is not an option. If my faith in God is smeared, is violated, is maligned, silence is not an option. But here's the other side of this discussion. Silence can also be a weapon. When you have an enemy, you're not supposed to broadcast your next moves. In this case, silence can be a weapon because it can rattle, unsettle, it can disturb an enemy. And a rattled enemy is a weak enemy. Remember, silence can intimidate. Number 2, there are adversaries who do not deserve your attention. You know who they are. The less you talk, or if you don't talk, or if you stay silent, they dissipate, they disappear, because they probably were not talking about you. They probably do not recognize themselves in you. And remember, you are who you respond to. If somebody calls you pangit at lumingon ka, then you are. Pero pag hindi ka lumingon, then you're beautiful. Number 3, when you don't know the issues. For instance, there are political discussions or social debates that you are not familiar with or you don't know about. Be silent. And in instances where you don't have anything to say, be silent. I think that's proper. I remember many years ago, I was doing private conversations with boy Abunda. And in one of the episodes, I shared the story of my father who was born out of wedlock. And it was, still is, big deal, at least in my neighborhood. Anak sa pagkabastato. I shared that story because I felt I also had demons to deal with in my own life. I didn't know Nanay was watching. I didn't know Nanay was eavesdropping on the conversation. Following day, she spoke to me. And she said she was bothered and she was hurt because I spoke about tatay's being born out of wedlock, anak sa labas ang aking ama. And I told Nanay that I also had my own skeletons that I had to deal with. I had to talk about them so that I can liberate myself. Sabi sa akin ng Nanay, hindi lahat ng totoo ikinikwento, lalo na pag ito'y nakakasakit. I shut up. I was silent because I had so much respect for the wisdom of my mother. So, after having said all these, remember, silence is power. Thank you. Once again, this is Boy Abunda. I'm looking forward to speaking with you with words spoken mula sa puso. Be kind, be blessed. Make your nanay proud. Goodbye for now.